My name is Ania and I'm owner of Calico, a plant dyeing studio based in Berlin. Today I'm going to show you how you can dye fibers with plants. We're going to talk about techniques you can use and how to determine what fibers can be dyed with plants. Have you dyed anything yourself? If so, what did you dye? What kind of colors did you produce? Did you use any specific technique? Talk to your friends about family about their experiences. Before we start our experiment, I'm going to tell you what natural dyeing is. Natural dyeing is extracting colors from plants or minerals or insects and applying them to textiles. You can use different sources of dyes. Today I have on my table onion skins, walnut. This is the green part that becomes brown when it dries. I have black hollyhock flowers, madder root. This is root of a plant used just for dyeing. Chamomile flowers, alder cones, and marigold flowers. We also have turmeric that we're going to use for our experiment today. When dyeing with natural dyes, it's important to know the difference between natural and synthetic fibers. Only natural fibers can be dyed with plants. Synthetics don't take up the color well. It can take a long time until you learn to differentiate between synthetic silk and natural silk, for example, but I will show you later how you can run a burn test to determine what kind of fiber it is. Natural fibers can be divided into two categories. Protein fibers, like silk or wool, and cellulose fibers, like cotton or linen. Protein-based fibers are fibers that come from animals. Silk comes from silkworms, wool comes from sheep, angora comes from rabbits, and cashmere comes from goats. Cellulose-based fibers come from plants, like cotton and linen, but also bamboo or hemp. Here on my table you can see wool, silk. I also have linen and natural cotton. Now I'm going to show you how you can perform a fabric burn test. Please perform this experiment only in attendance of an adult person. Grab a piece of your chosen fabric. Get a lighter or matches. You can also use a pair of tweezers to hold the fabric. I like to use my hands. Carefully light the match or lighter and hold it up against the edge of the fabric. How the fabric reacts will tell you what it's made from. If you are burning polyester fabric, you will see the fabric melting when it hits the flame. There is no ash. Rather, it melts into a plastic edge, which is hard and not easy to break. This is always a sign that the fiber is synthetic. When doing the same with cotton and linen, the fabric will burn fast, and when removing the match, the fabric will continue to burn. It will create ash, and it will break away when touched. This is always a sign that the fiber is natural. 100% wool will react in the same way. To perform this experiment, you will need following materials and tools. First of all, fibers. I have a white t-shirt today. You can use another color as well, but the dyes will show the nicest on white background. Then, of course, our dye plant. I have turmeric today. You will also need a pot. It's best to use a pot that you do not use for cooking food, a heating plate, a spoon to stir. I also have gloves to protect my hands, a sieve and a piece of fabric to sieve through, and a bowl with water. Today I have cotton t-shirt I'm going to dye. This is 100% cotton. You can also use another color, but the dyes will show the nicest on white background. Please advise an adult if it's safe for you to run this experiment or perform it together with them. The bigger your dye pot is, the more uniform your color will be in the end. Because we're working with a small pot today, we're going to make a tie-dye project. And we're going to use rubber bands to bind our fabric. Because this is a home experiment, we're going to skip some steps that I would usually perform in my dye studio. First of all, I would wash the fabric in 90 degrees. And I would also use a mordant. Mordant is a substance that is necessary to make the colors light fast and wash fast. But in order to do that, you would need aluminium powder, and this is not safe to use at home. We are going to fill the pot with enough water to cover the fibers. We're adding our turmeric. And I'm going to stir to make sure it's dissolved. I'm going to let it simmer for 20 to 30 minutes now. And in the meantime, I'm going to prepare the fabric. I'm going to scrunch it with my hands and keep it flat. And now I'm using rubber bands to hold it together. We're making a little bundle like that. The idea is for the fabric to only be exposed to the dye on the outside, and the parts that are hidden are going to stay lighter. Now we wait for the dye to extract. After 30 minutes, the dye is extracted. And now I'm going to sieve it through a piece of cheesecloth to get rid of the powder. I'm laying a cheesecloth on a sieve and I am straining the dye. Now I'm going to wipe the pot clean. Now I'm going to transfer the dye back into the dye pot. I'm going to use gloves to protect my hands, and I'm going to place the bundle in warm water. I'm wetting it out. And once it's wet, it's going into the dye pot. I'm placing the bundle in the dye pot, and now it's going to dye at around 90 degrees or just below the simmer temperature for 20 to 30 minutes again. You can move it from time to time to make sure the color is applied to both sides. We can now take out our t-shirt and rinse it in warm water. First you squeeze it a bit, and then you can remove the rubber bands. This is our result. Now you can squeeze it out and hang it up to dry. The colors might change over time because first of all we didn't mordant the fabric, and second of all turmeric is not a very stable dye. But this is the beauty of plant colors, that they mature and change. To make sure they last as long as possible, wash by hand in cold water with wool soap. You can also experiment with other plants that you can find at home. For example, onion skins or avocado skins and stones. You can also try black tea. have fun!